afternoon, everyone. This is Dorothea from Airpost Creations 2021, and today I like to continue the philosophical studies of Confucius and Taoism, and today we take a better look into the Taoism movement. We talk about the philosophical Taoism, not the religious Taoism, in that setting today, okay? In Taoism, we have both the active and the non-active components, which is the female and the male part. The non-active part is the female part and the active part is the male part. And Taoism is imaginative, paradoxical, metaphorical, and mainly metaphorical in its literature. Okay? There are 5 forces in Taoism or Taoism, which is 1, the infant. The infant is seen as this helpless being needing to get help from parents, of course, to be protected. And the second component is the woman. She is seen as the passive force, the sweet creator. And the third one is water. Water having enormous powers flowing along in a river, in a sea, in the oceans. All the waters have enormous powers. Fourth is the valley. The valley is seen as the symbol, it's natural, it stays down versus the mountain, which is huge, demanding, and which makes a big fuss, overpowering the smaller things relating to the valley, for instance. Then we have number 5, the uncarved wooden block. The uncarved wooden block, which still has all the potential as long as it is unfinished. So when we take a piece of wood, we can build out of that wood all kinds of things. We can build a house, we can build a wooden block for the kitchen, we can build a wooden vase for flowers, things like that, okay? There is this dynamic force, which is nature at work, that can be seen in all different ways, like in storms, in rains, in hail, in the winds, in sunshine, in heat, in drought, and so forth. The term Wu Wei means non-manipulating, non-aggressive. Dao Jia is a philosophical Taoism related to nature, and Dao Jiao is a religious Taoism. It counters nature by avoiding death to have immortality. In Taoism, everything is made up of yin and yang. These 2 forces are found in all things. Yin being feminine, being the earth. It is passive, negative, dark, wet and cold, and yang being masculine, being the sky. It's active, positive, bright, sunny, dry and hot. So yin is the feminine, the earth, and yang is the masculine, the sky. There are 5 elements making up Taoism: wood, fire, metal, water and earth. There is no air. Instead, Taoism uses wood and metal. A state named Ku, southwest of the place where Confucius lived, was home to Lao Tzu. It's possible that both Lao Tzu and Confucius met in some point in life, but it cannot be said with certainty because the book as it stands was a later product and Lao Tzu appeared later on the world stage. Both men, Lao Tzu and Confucius, held the belief that government is useful and that a conventional knowledge should teach the people how to live life simple. Taoism is a Chinese Buddhism. The philosophical part is called Fo Shu. The religious part is called Fo Shao. Both books, Chuang-Tzu and Tao Te Ching, appeared possibly at the same time, while the Analects of Confucius came in a much later time to be known. Both books, Chuang-Tzu and Tao Te Ching, did change over time as well, just like the writings from Confucius. Later generations added words or changed some meanings and so forth. Taoism has a leading thought, which is everyone should have the needed necessities in life. Plus, Taoism does not give orders, telling anyone how to live life right or wrong. It leaves it up to everyone. Everyone picks and chooses what to make by using the philosophy of Taoism. When we contrast both systems, Confucianism and Taoism Buddhism, we learn that while Confucianism prevailed through times with regards to public life, Taoism and Buddhism are both very similar, and their teachings are with regard to the private life. Both Taoism and Buddhism teach us the detachment from emotions. They teach not harming anything, and they both have a similar belief system about the universe. While Taoism-Buddhism care about individuals, Confucianism cares about the whole order of everything. Buddhism means the process of change, constant change. Nothing is really permanent. Just the order of change is permanent. It also teaches us not to cling to a person or to things. Taoism has also a movement that was called or is called quietist, but according to my teacher, it has not much to do with Taoism, so we just skip it, okay? When we talk about Taoism, it's a very ongoing system in the sense that it started before Confucianism and continues longer after Confucianism is already gone or had died for a time of the reality of everyday life. Taoism over time transforms into some kind of dictatorship. It surely was not planned that way, but it's a new strand that was called or is called legalism. With legalism, we move into dictatorship because the legalism in that sense appears in China and is no longer past-oriented and gets also rid of all the religious components and also all the moral components. Now legalism teaches the rules how to survive and to prosper without relying or relating to morals. One gets up in society any way needed, even if that means to use elbow power, a bit like in our modern times where almost all things are allowed, sometimes even admired by society, seeing it as a strength if somebody uses elbow power and is a little bit bullying others, getting ahead in life. That's seen today most often as a strength and a good thing, and we admire the mighty and the rich in society. You can see it in the social media, how people are admired by others if they have a lot of money and if they use their voice to, well, promote themselves against all the others. Okay? The central government is now in power in China, using a strict legal system and using punishments given to everyone who don't fit in. This new system also encourages agriculture by means of warfare, by expanding the borders, take away land from others, do whatever needed to get ahead. This legal system gets rid of people who do not fit in and also intentionally keeps people in the dark or keeps people ignorant. That way, the government had all the powers doing whatever they wanted to do to achieve their goals. The law now puts out rules to be followed for people. Everything has to be just so. No exceptions being made. The school of legalism is called fascia. It's almost like fascists, I think, fascia, right? There are 6 philosophical schools in China. We start first with Confucianism. This school has the teachings of Mencius, and Mencius is saying that people are good by nature, and there is another school of Sun Tzu, who said the opposite, namely that people are basically bad or evil by nature. So we have the two opposing thoughts in Confucianism. The one side, people are good by nature and believing in the good of the nature of the people, and the other side, no, they are evil, you have to watch them, they are not good at all. So that's interesting right there, I think, right? That one philosophy has two opposing thought systems. Sun Tzu comes after Mencius already had died. Then there is the second school, or strength, or not strength, the second movement, which is Mohism, which was taught by Mo Tzu. Third, we have Taoism with three men, Yan Chu, Lao Tzu, and Shuang Tzu. Teaching reality is called Ming Xia. Ming meaning reality, Xia meaning school. Fourth, we have the Yin Yang school. Fifth, we have the school of names. Sixth comes along legalism with Han Fai Shu as the teacher of it, and it's no longer past-oriented, no longer religious, or no longer moral in the sense what we understand under morals, teaching the good, promoting the good, and things like that. In 221 BC, the Great Wall is finished being built. In the time 200 BC to 200 AD, rulers started to have all the powers over the people. They controlled everything, got rid of the old system. All kinds of different historical movements happened. From the Han Dynasty, which established Confucianism, then it continues with the Tang Dynasty. We are moving, that's not right. There are different historical movements. One of it, which is the Han Dynasty, which establishes Confucianism. And then there also was a Tang Dynasty, moving in the time from BC to AD. Now we're becoming in our time, where Buddhism becomes broad, recognized on the world stage. It already existed a long time before that, but it just so became on the world stage that it was known in a broader sense. That's probably better said, okay? Also in AD, Confucianism comes back because it was long not known either. It was only in books and only in China, but then it's also coming on the world stage and be known by others, okay? We have a period where the Mongols are ruled by foreigners. Then we have the start of the Republic of China with Chiang Kai-shek, followed by Mao Zedong, the leader of communism. So that was a short introduction to Oriental philosophy - religion. And the next time I dive a bit deeper into the philosophy of Taoism and Buddhism, because they are very, very compact philosophies. And this was just a little bit history to put everything in a broader understanding. And next time I go deeper into it, because there is much more interesting stuff that I like to introduce here on my channel. Today, this was just a contrast from Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism. Next time, as I said, we go deeper into the philosophical teachings, thoughts, meanings of both Confucianism and Taoism and also Buddhism, because they all somehow hang together, have their different strengths and depart, but also are reunited in other things. And I think it's interesting to next time go a little bit deeper in the different books, because the Book of Mean is very interesting, since it's still today the book taught to all the Chinese children in school to teach them the morals of old. It's not forgotten. It's still like the Christian Bible. It's still teaching generation after generation the children how to live a moral life despite the communism that's going on. This is just, they are proud to keep it going as a, let's say, as a teaching of the old, traditionally speaking, hanging on the traditions, because modern China still needs teachings like Confucianism, Taoism and Taoism and Buddhism as a proud teaching from the past, because they still hang on to Buddhism as meditation, Taoism also as meditation, and Confucianism also as guidelines, how to do things, what to do, and fall back on the writings to, well, maintain the teachings from the old masters. Okay, so next time I will explore all the different books, because I have about, I don't know how many pages, I have a big folder like that full with stuff, and I looked it through. But first I thought, have to get a little idea about the different times, how the time of Confucianism and Taoism led into the legalism, which now became the communism, where people have no rights and people are powerless because the government sets forth everything that's done today in China. And I want to explain how that evolved, and legalism, the one strand from Taoism, is responsible for that, because the later people who followed legalism, they set forth the stage in China so that the new government became a communist government, telling people what to do, what not to do, setting forth new rules, oppressing people, because they like to be the only ones who have the say and decide what people can do and cannot do. But we had to explore it first, how it came to be that a country who had once such wonderful philosophical system like Confucianism and also Taoism and also Buddhism, how it came that now the modern China is the way it is. It tells everybody that they had to follow the governmental rules and regulations, and there was no room to be individual, to be an individual thinker and do your own thing. It all stays in the realm of the communist way of doing things, and there's not much more people can do about it. But I wanted to explain it because next time when we go back to the old ways, then we can understand better how the old ways, the books and the writings of the old ways and the thoughts and the philosophies, that they are still hanging on even today in the times of communist China, because people just need the spiritual components of the old thinkers to get through in the modern times with the communism going on, and they still need to have the feeling that not all is lost. There is still the good thing that once was brought forth by the great thinkers, that never died. It's still there, and people can go back to the writings and feel that they are still free, because they are free insofar as they meditate, insofar as they read. If they prefer Taoism, then they read the Taoistic writings, and they have the feeling they are spiritually strengthened. They are strengthened by the spiritual things, and they can still fall back on that. When they are upset, they can fall back on that and say, it's all good. We had wonderful Chinese masters teaching us other things than the reality from today, the reality from modern times. It's a little bit like if you live in the Western world and you are upset about the modern times. Sometimes we get upset too, because we might not agree with such things like bullying other people by using elbow power and by just oppressing the ones who are not so inclined to use the elbow power, and then they are overruled too in the Western world. And we have now the situation often, not all the time, but often, that someone who has all the money can tell others what to do and is admired, because who wouldn't want to have money, right? Who wouldn't want to have a good, rich life? So we have to be careful not to give our admiration to the wrong people. It's okay to have money. I'm not saying that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with being rich. But there are good rich people and there are not so good rich people. So we have to distinguish it, or we should distinguish it. And today we often admire the wrong people. There are lots of people in Hollywood which are really not a good example of morals and a good example of the best kind of human beings one should admire. There are some people in Hollywood, they are rich too, and they are good examples. They do things for the world. Like, for instance, DiCaprio. He is a man who takes care of nature, who takes care of nature, preserving the nature and things like that. So we can admire him, and he is very rich too. And there are others, they are just there to promote themselves, They are just there to show the world, I'm the prettiest, I'm the richest, I'm the best, I'm the this, I'm the that, and to set it in the right context, okay? And no, I don't mean if you are pretty, you should hide behind a wall and not come out. You are pretty, so come out, show the world you are pretty, show us all how that looks to be pretty, but also stay a human being and a righteous being, and teach us also some morals, okay? And don't forget all that, despite the fact that you are rich and a famous actress or a famous model, things like that, okay? So the next time I dive deeper, because I have to maybe make 2 more videos just on Oriental thought, because it's very compact, and 4 months, I have 4 months of writings, 4 months of all kinds of things, tests that I took, I write them again to find out what is relevant in the stuff, to compile it all together and give you all a better view about the whole thing, okay? So today that was a little bit more like an historical journey from the BC to the AD, and ending with the communist regime brought into existence directly by legalism. Legalism was the force to change everything. Legalism took away the rights of the people. Legalism instilled force through warfare, taking away land from people and telling them from now on, this is the way we do things, and I don't care if that was your land that you needed to have an existence. I take it away because I'm the government and I can do whatever I want to do. So lots of little farmers and common people, they suffered under that. They lost their land, they lost their animals, they lost their existence, because that new political movement said, I do not care. I'm the one in power and I tell you what I want to do and I just do it. So we see here again how human beings are the force of all the things on earth, the good and the bad. It's just the way it is. It's humans who run the whole earth, deciding everything on earth and taking matters in their own hand. And if we are lucky, we have a good leader. If we are lucky, we have a good leader who does the right thing, and our country is in a good shape. If we have not a good leader, well, then we have a bad country. A bad country where people suffer, they don't have enough to eat, they don't have clean water, they don't have possibilities to get good jobs, they don't have a good health care. All that is also done by human beings, by the bad leaders. Okay? So it's important, in my opinion, it's important to have philosophical movements, because it has to be written down and put in a system to make the whole picture. And the philosophers, they are very helpful because they put a lot of thought in everything, from the private life to the private life to the not private life, and they try to, when they are good philosophies, they try to build a happy system to put in place on earth, so everybody can profit from a good kind of life. And nobody has to live under some dictatorship. Nobody should hunger if the right philosophy is put in place. Then everybody has enough to eat. Everybody has clean water. Everybody is protected by law. Everybody is free to go wherever they want. Everybody can take the job they want, things like that. It started with thinkers, philosophical thinkers, because otherwise we just would have, well, we would have people running everything, but it needs to also be put in some kind of a system, and for that philosophy is very important. And I know people make fun about the philosophers. They say they sit in their ivory tower. They have no idea how the real world is, how the real world functions. And this is nonsense, because they are just human beings like you and I, and they just look for an approach to do something for us all. And yes, there are stupid philosophies and stupid philosophers, I know that, and we will talk about that in my next video, because my teacher also contrasted the Oriental thought with the Western thought. And I read it while I did my notes, I read it again. I had forgotten it a little bit because it's almost 30 years that I took the last semester, but I read again, and he pointed it out. Yes, there are ridiculous philosophies. There are ridiculous philosophies, especially in the Western world, because they get all tangled up in big words and in big funny ideas that nobody can follow. This is probably why people don't like philosophers and philosophy, because they say they are all not really down to earth. It's all technical stuff nobody understands, and there are big words you have to look up in a book to grasp what they even try to say. It's all blown up in lots of stupid words and stuff like that. That's why people don't like it and think philosophers are all not practical people. They are all up in their heads. They sit in a tower, the ivory tower, and trying to be the leaders of the world, while the others, they go to work hard. They have to live with the reality of life, and the philosophers have lost reality of life and the reality of everything, and it's just not true. They are both good philosophies and not so good philosophies, like with everything else in life. They are good chemists and they are not good chemists. They are good doctors and not good doctors, physicians, I mean, in a hospital. And it's true for all walks of life. Okay, so next time we dive deeper in that, what my teacher pointed out, why he was for the Oriental philosophies, because he thought they are more exquisite and better suited to teach people things, to bring people to do the right thing, to encourage us to live the better life, meaning the thoughtful, mindful, and moral life, because the Eastern philosophies have this very, very strong bond towards nature. And that is why we human beings today love Buddhism, because the people now are fed up with the modern times. The last years where elbow power was the ruling force, where bullies were the normal human beings teaching other things, and we are over time all fed up with that. And so the trend goes towards Buddhism, Eastern thinking again, and also in health and wellness. People tend to read again the old wise writings that talk about the power of plants, and we reinvented slowly but surely the belief in all the herbs and all the plants and all the flowers, and we go back to that time where once women had to be burned on a stake called witches because they liked also the power of plants. But we now slowly but surely return to that era. We like to be connected with nature again. We see the importance in plants, in trees, in everything that nature is offering us, and we go away from the modern times where we just despise nature and we just think everything that comes in a prepackaged way. Everything is already done. We just warm it up. We go away from that because we have learned that the power is in our own hands to stay healthy. We cannot rely on the pharmaceutical companies. We cannot rely on the doctors. We have doctors. They are good, yes. We need them. Sometimes we just cannot do without a doctor. I'm not saying that. But over years, we have become so used to just go to the pharmacy and get some pills instead of maybe rethinking the way we live. If we eat healthier, we might not have to go to the pharmacy and get the pills to make it through life. So this is the new awareness people finally learned, because everybody has somebody in the family who got sick through eating the stuff that the shops give us, the food industry offers us, the lies they tell us, that in all kinds of things they tell us, and we all have experienced it. One time they tell us margarine is good, so skip the butter. The next time after a few years, then they say, oh gosh, margarine is so bad for you, just eat butter. And after they say eat a butter, then they say both is really bad, just use sunflower oil. They do that a while, then they say, oh gosh, no, sunflower oil was not good at all, use another oil, and things like that. And people get confused and unsure about things they don't know anymore what to do, because not everybody is reading up on the stuff, taking time to investigate everything. So, and if you are not in a health group and lucky enough to be in a health group where they teach you the right things too, then you are lost. You say, what is right now? One time margarine, one time butter, one time this, one time that. I'm confused. What is right for me? What should I do? Things like that. And then over time, you don't believe anything. You just get in a way to reject everything, because you see they lied so many times. They said this was good and I ate that. Then 10 years later they say, oh my gosh, that was the wrong thing. You shouldn't eat that at all. And so people get discouraged. They do not know if they can trust anything anymore. And exactly that brought back the belief in the old books, in the ancient writings, and we had to rethink the whole system and everything. We were stressed out in modern times through the work conditions that people sometimes have. They sometimes have 2-3 jobs. They come home stressed, and they had to find ways to counteract stress. So they they found back, not invented, it was there all the time, but they finally discovered to be a follower of meditation. Yoga is on the rise. People do yoga, people do Pilates, people do all kinds of things. Tapping, that's also something that's now very in, to help people to get rid of stress and to become a new human being. A human being that is more spiritually inclined, because we learned over the time that all the other things didn't really work. We got sicker and sicker, we got stressed out, we got unhappy, because there was no time to really go within and think about the deeper meaning of life. And we found out, yeah, it's good to have money. Yeah, it's good to have a great job. Yeah, it's good to have a big bank account and to pay every bill when the bill is coming in. That's all good. But if other things are missing, like a peaceful, happy life, insofar that you are not stressed out 24 hours a day, that you have time for yourself, to go out in nature, to enjoy trees, to walk around, to breathe the fresh air, to look at the sky and see a blue sky and enjoy that, then all the money on earth is not good. You're still stressed out. That's why lots of people have started a brand new life. People who had a super job, super paying job, they sometimes just left it all behind, and they went in some kind of a island. They went on an island to live there and start new by becoming a farmer and planting seeds and things like that. Today we have the funniest kind of personal developments. People who once were in a big company doing all kinds of things, they quit. They quit and they said, it's enough, I don't want it anymore, it's stressing me out, I like to have another life, a happier life. So they got out and started something brand new. They sometimes went far, far away, in a far away country, on a little island that's considered primitive, and they said, I built me a wooden hut and I start anew. So that shows also that there was a need for the spiritual development, or for the spiritual acceptance, that our human condition is more than just getting up in the morning, eating over the daytime, and having a job. That's not enough. We also have to be fulfilled one way or the other. So this is why philosophy is important, because when we study it, when we see the different forms of philosophy, then we know, no, it's not true. They are not just all sitting in an ivory tower having no clue about real life. Most of them, the ancient ones, I would say all of them, but some of them even in modern times, but the ancient ones, they all were common people. They knew what they were talking about. They were looking for a solution to make the world a better place, because they too were unhappy about what they saw, and they tried to really bring about a new era to help people out. So this we have to consider too. And this is why it's important to study it or to learn about it. Then we can see the whole picture, how everything fits in. And then we can also, for ourselves, take steps and reject certain things. We don't have to accept everything in modern times either. Yeah, we have to go and we have to work in our jobs and we have to do what the boss is telling us and things like that. But we also are free to quit a job if we get sick, if we are stressed out all the time. Then we can say, no, I'm no longer doing it. I'm looking for another job. I have to get out of here because it makes me sick. So that's the plus point being a human being. We have a brain and we can decide what is best for us and how we want to live our life. Okay? So next time I talk about what Confucius said about what he likes about the Oriental thought. And we talk and go deeper in there. Okay? So for today, thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a wonderful Saturday and tomorrow a nice Sunday. And I will be back on Monday. Okay? So thank you. Thank you for being patient with me and letting me ramble on here. Okay? Thanks. Have a nice weekend.